Time for some V8 action, Kiwi style. The BNT V8 SuperTourers on track at Pukekohe for their second race of 4 for the weekend. And Greg Murphy starts from pole. He won race 1 earlier in the day. His young M3 teammate Richard Moore will start alongside. Jono Webb's with me for this one. Some familiar names, some Dunlop Series drivers in the SuperTourers. Steve Owen, the former Dunlop Series champions, in there as well. Morgan Haber's a young Aussie that has come across to play. Ant Pedersen's from the Dunlop Series as well, but he's starting down the back because he was in some drama in race 1.
That's it, and we've got a lot of really strong local Kiwi guys too. Obviously, you know, we've got Simon Evans out there, younger brother of Mitch, who we've seen do a lot of strong international things. He had a tough start in the last race, leading, got turned around. He's going to be pushing towards the front here.
He's in the Smeg Commodore that starts from the third row of the grid. It's a double file rolling start in the SuperTourers. Greg Murphy, can he clinch the championship in this race? He starts from pole in the number 1 Mike Perro Commodore. His teammate Richard Moore is alongside for the M3 team. Heimgartner and Andrew Wade on row 2. Away we go, race 2. The BNT SuperTourers, and it's Murph who leads the way to turn 1 in car number 1. We get them all through. Murphy leads. Heimgartner makes the jump. He's through to second. Richard Moore third. Then it's Andrew Wade. This is close on board with Mark Gibson in John McIntyre's Ford. They made it through.
They did. It's a good clean start.
Murphy pushing clear. Final round of the 2014 championship. He's on target to win back-to-back crowns. There's the Smeg Commodore I mentioned. Oh, one down the road. That's Ant Pedersen. Spinner as well. Simon McLennan started down the back. Definitely staying down the back now.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one to get back from there. It looks like there's been some contact. That Pedersen car's not going much further at all.
He stopped in that run-off road, the old circuit. Ant Pedersen competes in the Dunlop Series of V8 Supercars. He was the runner-up to Greg Murphy.
Yeah, I think that with that, you know, Murphy at the front, Pedersen with the drama, it's going to make Murphy have certainly a big smile on his face, with that being his closest competitor for the championship.
7/10 is the margin from Murphy back to young Andre Heimgartner, who is another of the Dunlop Series guys. There's actually a range of 20-something Kiwis in the Super Tourer category. And they're all making a name for themselves, and some of them are starting to come across to Australia and get stuck into what's probably the next level in terms of competitiveness and pace and budget to the Dunlop Series.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, as I said before, Heimgartner, he's doing a really good job here today in this category, and starting to really show some good speed and development series as well.
And the good thing is for these young guys, they've got a very good benchmark in this man. Greg Murphy has been there and he's done it all. 9-time race winner in V8 Supercars here. Shane Gisbergen still looking for his first V8 win. He's done some Super Tourer racing in the last couple of seasons as well, and has won races. He and Alex Davison paired up and did some winning in the endurance part of the Super Tourer season last year. But it's normally a 7-round series, a mixture of sprints and enduros. Hancock supplies the tyres. They're the same size, 18 inches V8 Supercars, but the chassis are the same underneath as V8 Supercars, from the same constructor, I should say. But the rest is a little bit different. 7-litre engine, very, very torquey. Doesn't have the same amount of horsepower, though, as a V8 Supercar.
No, you're exactly right. A huge 7-litre engine, which is a crate motor, straight out of the US. They bolt them straight in. They're very, very different.
It's on board with Mark Gibson in John McIntyre's car. John stepped out this season. We know Johnny Mack from being an endurance driver in V8 Supercars. This is Chris Hanley in front in the 27 car. That's close on. Angus Fogg just in behind, the former New Zealand touring car champ, who was, of course, remember, part of the foundation squad of Team Kiwi when it joined V8 Supercars with the great Jason Richards. 3 wide at the hairpin. Foggy is stuck into it. And this is for last place.
Yeah, it's competitive. Obviously, it's only a very small group of cars with 15 on track, but they've all got the speed to push on and try and win this race. And yeah, as you're saying before, they're quite different to the way the Australian cars go together. Scotty McLaughlin giving us a good wave.
Champion in this class back in 2012. The same year that he won the Dunlop Series, he went backwards and forwards across the Tasman and won 2 titles in the one season. But for now, he's all about the focus for the next V8 Supercar race. Good fight here behind the leader. Steve Owens at the front of this queue in that black Commodore that he stepped into. Bit of a last-minute deal for him to do this race, but he's been in these cars before as an endurance driver in the last few years, so knows his way around pretty well. He's raced V8 Supercars here, of course. This is the Valvoline Ford. Young Andrew Wade at the helm, young Kiwi that He's done a bit of open wheeler racing in Australia. He's been a ute champ here in New Zealand. That's the Tasman team run by Steve Horn, the former IndyCar team owner, and of course now the chairman of the V8 Supercars Commission. It's a competitive little class over here. It's going really well.
Yeah, it is exactly right. I mean, Andy Waite did a great job partnering Daniel Gaunt last year in the Endurance Championships. Really showed that he had the speed to be the main driver, and it's great that that team's given him a chance to go at it this year.
Replay of the start. You see there, Murph gets the jump. Heimgartner in that yellow hydraulic Commodore snuck down the inside. This is on board with Gibson. Just in front is Morgan Haven, the young Australian who's driving. He's part of Greg Murphy's M3 racing team that Greg's a partner in. And this was down the chicane. Look at the background for Ant Pedersen in that dark Falcon. Down the outside, locked up. Is it locked up or has it gone bang? It's gone and locked up, and he's ended up stopping in the chicane. There it is. Right front, yep, cooking. He did rejoin. He's down the tail of the field, though. Hankook's a tough tyre, but I'm not sure that it can take that much.
No, absolutely. As you say, the Hankook tyre is what makes these cars probably the most different from what we've got in Australia. They do have a lot of torque to drive off the corners, but at the end of the day, they're a couple hundred horsepower shy of what we have in Australia. So to get those lap times, that's where the Hankook works really, really well.
Here's a man who knows his way around. No better man than Greg Murphy to jump on board. He leads the race. This is the end of lap 5. He's on target for the title. Let's go for a hot lap at Pookie with the main man, Murph. Is there anyone better to go for a hot lap around this place with than Greg Murphy? There's the man he'll partner in the Enduro Cup later in the year, James Courtney. From a podium position, he starts 11th in the next V8 Supercar race, but he and Robbie Starr watching on as Murph does his thing. He leads by 0.8 of a second at the moment. Race 2 of the V8 SuperTourers. Greg Murphy is on target for a win in both the race and the title. The young Kiwis, though, Heimgartner and more, they're chasing. More action for Pukekohe in just a moment. This is what it looks like hanging out at Pukekohe at high speed, though, on the back of a VNT V8 Super Tour. It's race 2 of the weekend. Greg Murphy has control, but he's not dominating this one. Andre Heimgartner, the young New Zealander, the Dick Johnson Racing development driver, is going with the 4-time Bathurst champ. This is back in the pack for 7th, 8th and 9th. Dominic Story here trying to get a move on Mitch Cunningham. And behind is Morgan Haber in the Oryx Commodore, part of the M3 racing team here in New Zealand. We know Morgan from his racing in the Dunlop Series. This is Greg Murphy. He leads the way, Jono Webb, but Heimgartner's actually closing.
Yeah, I think he is, absolutely. The last lap or two, he's really latched onto the back of Murph, and I think he's got the grip between the teeth, and he wants to take this win.
One of the things that I find really funny about you come to New Zealand, and obviously Murph is massive here. He's one of the biggest names in sport. Andrew Waite, that is on the run to the final turn. He's gone straight on into the tyre wall in the Tasman Valvoline Ford. And that'll be a safety car for sure, because he's not going to get that out by himself. That's gone off quick. That is 180 Ks, 170 Ks on the way in there.
Yeah, definitely a fast bit of track. That's where we saw Dean Fiore escape very luckily last year off there and be able to escape off in the pit lane. But unfortunately, Andrew hasn't been able to escape and found himself in the wall.
Safety car's out, Jono. Yellow flags are out, so that will close everything up and neutralise this race. Lap 11 of 16. Waite's okay. The car is not. He will walk out under his own power. I wouldn't mind seeing what's gone on there, because generally you don't go off there by yourself. There's someone else involved.
Yeah, it's not an easy one to get to. I think we've, like we've seen in the V8 Supercars this weekend, a lot of guys trying to go too wide all the way through there. It's really bumpy. It's very easy to skip and hop and jump into each other. And I think that's what you'll see here once we get a replay.
Now, this may be the start of it all. This is back at the hairpin with Story putting a move on Mitch Cunningham. That's Wade up in front. No, he's okay there. I thought maybe one of those cars might end up getting to him, but look at the top of shot. He's all by himself. He's turned in to the left-hander, and then he's out of shot there. This might tell us a little more from in the road. Oh, right front, it's let go. No steering. Worst place for that to happen at a left-hander because the thing won't turn.
Absolutely not. No, without a right front tyre, you're not going anywhere. And as we said before, that's really fast through there. Flat, top of fourth, fifth gear. It would have been a wild ride.
That gets your attention. So safety car is out. Greg Murphy leads. We're on lap 12 of 16 for this second race of the BNT V8 SuperTourers. Great to have them part of the ITM 500 Auckland, but that's a sad sight for Steve Horn and the Tasman Motorsports team. That car buried on the run to turn 11. And Greg Murphy is on target for a win in this race. Hopefully we get back and at least get a bit of green flag running to decide this one and give Andre Heimgartner and Richard Moore a crack at Murph, because they've stayed really close to the reigning champion throughout the course of the lap so far, but they haven't been able to do anything about it. Steve Owen sits fourth, Simon Evans next from Tim Edgell, Dominic Story seventh, Morgan Habers eighth, Matt Gibson's ninth. Mark Gibson, I should say. Mitch Cunningham rounds out the 10. In fact, this is going to be given as the last lap. We're just hearing through, so that's a shame that time constraints will force this one to end. But Greg Murphy, who's teamed up with Paul Forgy, the engineer, ironically, who engineered Marcus Ambrose for all those years, that those two butted heads. They're together now and doing great things, and they're going to pick up a win, not the way they'd like to in race 2. And Murph will pick up a victory. Hey, just quickly too, I didn't get a chance to. Congratulations, new little boy in the Webb family, Judd Mika, if that's ever a racing name.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think the name suits the racing, but I don't know. Not sure if the budget's going to fit the racing for little ones. So we'll see if Shane wants to give up his seat when he comes on through.
This man's not giving up his seat. He wins. Greg Murphy will cruise it to the line and claim 2 from 2 for the weekend in the BNT V8 SuperTourers. Checker flag out with the yellow flags, and that'll do it. Murph's the champ for 2014, two-time New Zealand V8 Super Touring champ. So if you just joined us, here are the highlights. They started double file rolling start. Murphy took the lead, a lead he would not give up. Andre Heimgartner got to second, and Pedersen, though, he had a lock-up and ran through the chicane. Simon McLennan looped it around. Pedersen got going again. He finished 13th, though, second in the points, and that hurt him. Murphy, though, leading the way. Andre Heimgartner and Richard Moore pressuring. Andrew Waite, though, right front tyre pops. The Ford's in the wall. Safety car on the road. Red flag, indeed I should say yellow flag, and checkered flag. So race over. Greg Murphy picks up the victory behind the safety car. To recap, Heimgartner second from Richard Moore. Steve Owen, the FPR Enduro driver, fourth from Simon Evans. Gibson and Cunningham rounded out the 10. Bit of a flavour taste of SuperTourers. We'll have some more tomorrow from Pukekohe in New Zealand. Angus Fogg, position 11, and Andrew Waite, the only retirement with the Tasman Ford, popping that tyre. Stay with us, more action from Pukekohe after the break.